Greetings, welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the podcast that tries to be a pub and perhaps someday a pub that tries to be a podcast. As always, we are looking for customers to come visit our bar. If you're passionate about something, you want to be on the podcast, then let us know, because this bar is all about community. If you want to help us out, please consider leaving a 5-star review wherever you find the show and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Joel, I'm the proprietor of the SciFi Pubcast, and today with me at the bar, we have our regular staff members, Keri Simpson and Derek Beebe. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Alan Z.
LZ, oh, God.
wrong doctor.
Wrong doctor, wrong doctor.
I mean, or is it? Or is it?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I need a doctor. I'm still looking for a family doctor, not a guy who travels through time. But still, I'll take a family doctor for medical stuff anytime. Still looking. It's been about 10 years now. No, it's about 8. Anyway, I digress because, yes, we're talking about Doctor Who in this episode. But before we get there, let's go around the table to see what people have been up to. So, Keri, how's life in Southern California? Los Angeles, to be specific.
Well, it's fine. It's fine.
Are you trying
There's a certain Rage Against the Machine album that may or may not be having some real life effects at the moment. I'm drinking a margarita because I figure tacos probably shouldn't be eaten while recording. So, but it's in the same general, Mexican food family. So
good. I can't wait until the U.S. government start doing immigration raids. It's like South Dakota at the different farm facilities and food facilities. Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did intentionally make this margarita kind of bluish.
No.
Because why not? But
Yeah.
the so-called war zone is not actually happening.
No.
No.
Well, it's still very problematic and scary, and hopefully it doesn't spin out of control. It's just being really stupid. So,
well, yeah.
yeah.
We'll save that for offline discussions.
Of course. If
You
this
don't want to
way,
lose too many listeners.
yeah. All right, Derek, man, how's life in your world in the hills of Pennsylvania?
Nothing terribly interesting happening lately. Although I am hard at work on the first book in the science fiction series. I'm rewriting it based on what the comments that Jonathan Mayberry gave me about the prologue, and I am speaking with the cover artist about doing the first cover now.
Nicely done. I love the fact that you write, and that's important, right? We all I find having a creative outlet is so healthy for people, right? Mentally stimulating, all that stuff. I do the podcast because mostly I write really boring stuff very, very slowly. So for my dissertation, and it's driving me bonkers right now. So occasionally I need to have fun. Fun. It's never
Fun?
too
What's
old
that?
to have fun.
I don't know this. I don't know this concept. No, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah. But of course, this is the SciFi Pubcast. We are a pub, so to speak, and we serve food on occasion. Tacos, not so much right now, but still food on occasion. So, Derek, I got to ask you, my friend, since you're in charge of the kitchen, how is our kitchen doing?
It's pretty good. I had a great cost-saving idea for the cookies that we're doing right now.
All right.
Unrelated subject. You're familiar with planarian flatworms? They're the worms that are functionally immortal. If you cut them in half, they'll actually grow into two separate worms. Even if you cut the
Wow.
tail off, it will grow a head. They'll just like reproduce on their own. Well,
I don't
anyway,
like
never
where
mind.
this
Separate
is
subject.
going.
So
So
have you been on Doctor Who's Tinder before or something? I don't know. No, don't worry.
Oh no, I definitely don't like where this is going.
Okay.
So anyway, unrelated subject. For our Doctor Who theme, I'm serving by generation meal cookies. So you get the cookie and you cut it in half, and it actually forms into a second part. Now the taste takes a little getting used to, but I think once you have a few, you'll really start to enjoy them.
Is this a British thing?
I don't know where they come from actually. The guy on the docks would not tell me, and
Right,
we didn't
okay.
really speak the same language, so I'm not really sure where they come from. But like I said, we're basically saving 50% on our materials for the food. So I figured that'd be good since we're, not doing great financially lately.
yeah. I really need to sell this place. Okay, but never mind. God, Cardiff. They're
And
probably
the
come
other
from
great
Cardiff.
part
Yeah.
is they keep replicating in your stomach. So like
Oh.
you keep getting feeling more and more full as you go along.
Mm. Great.
I
Yeah.
well, this
And
is
if
so
that becomes
wrong.
too much of an issue, we'll also be selling milk of magnesia in case you need to, clear out the issue.
Yeah. Sounds like a moving experience. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, wait, this implies that Derek actually used some of our budget to buy milk of
Yeah.
magnesia, which implies that Derek bought something for the pub rather than just,
Well,
getting it out of the dumpster like he normally does.
it is the generic brand Malk of magnesia, MALK,
Sorry.
but it should
Oh,
work just as well.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I mentioned it. I'm really, really sorry, Joel.
yeah. Derek, you're rated the tip jar again, mate. We don't make that many tips as it is.
We get tips? What?
Oh, dear Lord. Anyway, Trey, what's happening with my life? Well, it's June. I'm still working every day on my dissertation, very, very slowly. I read books for like a living now, and I write slowly. I drive myself nuts. Yeah, it just. Uh, I'm never going to walk away from the dissertation. It's basically the reason I'm living right now. But you can only hit it so much during the day, or you just go bonkers. So it is very much, I work, make some money, and then go do the dissertation at night, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy with that, with my life like that. What else?
As long as you're
Well,
happy, Joel.
yeah, we're recording on a Sunday, which is probably better for me because I still host karaoke on a Friday. And since I'm on stage, I tend to drink a lot of beer. And so Saturdays can be rough. So recording on a Sunday is much better for me. I'm probably funnier and make more puns. And well, at least I'm more handsome, right? Yeah, I don't know.
And your eyes aren't as bloodshot.
There's it's funny when I drink Bud Light. Light beer. Yes, I'm that old. Not because the taste, it's because, well, if you're going to have six beers or more than that, then you should try to balance things out. I digress. All right, all right.
If you say so, Joel.
Uh-huh. Yes, yes. Who? Oh, that's right. We're talking about Doctor Who and the latest season that's streaming on Disney Plus in the United States and elsewhere in space and time. Or is it time and space? It doesn't matter. All right. Doctor Who. Yes, that's right. The British science fiction show that's been around since 1963. It's It's the longest running sci-fi show in television history, but has taken some hiatuses throughout its history itself. But we're here to talk about the last season because we have thoughts. Isn't that right, guys?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh God, oh God. Okay, so I'm not sure how I want to start this off, because I usually, throw it to Keri, which of course she has her thoughts, but I know Derek, you have lots of thoughts. But with me, just put my biases on the table. I watched Doctor Who as a child. We used to get the television feed through the PBS station in Buffalo, New York, because I grew up in Niagara Falls on the border on the Canadian side. And it's precious to me. I had an older brother too, but we're talking the 1970s. Okay, I was born in '74, but my brother was 3.5 years older. So we get reruns of mostly the Tom Baker era, and I love that. Uh, yeah, the newish Doctor Who. So by newish, it's been 20 years. I'm that old. To me, it's like it's nice. It's okay. Is my favorite? No. Can I see value? Yes. And so I'm wishy-washy on the later incarnations of Doctor Who. So that's where I'm at. But let's start with some fireworks. Let's go with Derek first. Oh, unless you
Okay.
want to go. You want to go? Oh, you ready,
No,
Karen?
no, 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 no,
No.
no, no. Derek, go. Derek can go. I've
Yeah.
already talked a lot
Well,
this morning, so.
Okay.
first of
Okay.
all, we should throw out a spoiler warning that we'll be talking about the
Yeah.
season two finale and how that ends. Although it's already all over the internet, it has been. But
Yeah.
I grew up on Doctor Who too. I watched it PBS Saturday nights, and no, it was also mostly Tom Baker. So obviously, I wasn't seeing them as they were airing. It was years afterwards. But
Right.
yeah, Tom Baker was my doctor as a kid. I loved him. we recorded every single episode on VHS, and I would just watch them over and over again. I saw a little bit of Pertwee, a little bit of Davidson, but it was basically just Tom Baker. That was my doctor. And when the show came back in 2005, I was so delighted. It was such a wonderful rush of childhood nostalgia. I've loved the show ever since it came back. Some seasons are better than others. My favorite era was seasons two, three, four, when Russell T Davies was in charge and it was Tennant as the doctor. So I was really delighted that Tennant is back in charge now for the past 2 years. That was a very welcome change for me. And
Tennant or
I
Davies?
really hope what?
You said Tennant. Is it? Don't you mean
Oh,
Davies?
sorry. Yeah, Davies as the showrunner. So I'm delighted that he's back in charge. I've really enjoyed the last two seasons. I loved. Do we know how to pronounce properly pronounce his name? Is it
Shuti Gatwa?
Nkudi?
Shuti.
Shooty?
Yes.
Okay, Shooty and Go. Well, I love him. I think he's a great doctor. I mean, I think they've all been great doctors. I don't think there's ever been a bad doctor, but I really enjoyed him. I was very frustrated that he's gone
Mm.
because he was only in 19 episodes. That's got to be the shortest one outside of Paul McGann, who just got the movie. And I was very disappointed that he left. And apparently it was a lot of, there's talks not that the show will be canceled, but that Disney Plus will not renew their contract with it, which means BBC will keep making it on their own, which will necessitate a smaller budget. And also, they don't know when it's coming back. So he wanted to be able to do theater or something. So he didn't want to have his schedule tied down. So, yeah, I was very disappointed that he was gone. I really think we could have done more with him. I really liked this season as a whole. I mean, we can breeze past each of the 8 episodes since there's only eight. That's the other thing. The
Yeah.
seasons are only 8 episodes long. It's like I want more, I want more.
Where did
So
the time go? Really?
yeah. And I yeah, so like I mostly love what Davies is doing. I'm also surprised we haven't had any like Daleks or Cybermen or the Master. He's been focusing on new things, but then he also brought back Sutek, which is awesome because Pyramids of Mars is like my all-time favorite classic episode. So I was so jazzed when they brought back Sutek. And the same thing when they brought back Omega, because The Three Doctors was again one of my all-time favorite serials. I watched that one endlessly as a kid. And I never really saw the Randy because I didn't really watch those eras, but it's still, cool to bring back a classic villain like that.
All right.
So I'll be quiet, but yeah, I thought this was a good season. The only episode I hated was the barbershop episode. That just felt like such a waste of time. And I was excited because, I saw the log line that the doctor is going to Africa. And I was like, that's great. In all the histories of the show, we've never been to Africa. So that is wonderful to finally do that. But then the whole episode is just taking place in a barbershop. It was so disappointing.
But and to be clear, we say Africa, you mean like sub-Sahara Africa? Because I'm sure they've been to Egypt before, right? They must have been to Egypt.
Well, I don't know because even Pyramids of Mars took place in
Yeah.
England.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think they ever went to Egypt.
Yeah. Okay. Host these thoughts. Keri, what's your initial thoughts on this season of Doctor Who?
I thought this season was really, really good. I did watch like okay, I didn't get into Doctor Who until it came back.
Hmm.
And then alongside the first few seasons of Doctor Who, I also went back and watched all of the classic Doctor Who. So I have seen the Ronnie. I thought the Ronnie was fabulous. I thought bringing her back was fabulous. I I would had personally had been hoping that Missy would have turned out to be either Ronnie, Susan, or Romana.
Hmm.
Those were my three guesses for who Missy was until it was revealed that she was the master, which is also awesome. But to find and apparently everyone was guessing that Mrs. Flood was the master,
Hmm.
which so there's some symmetry there. So yeah, I kind of gave up on guessing who Mrs. Flood was going to turn out to be, and having her turn out to be the Ronnie was really, really cool. Um, Unlike Derek, I did like the barbershop episode. I um Unfortunately, kind of necessitates bringing up, well, American Gods, despite what is going on with Neil Gaiman, is still an amazing story, amazing book, amazing series, and it kind of flashed me back to the to Nancy, on Mr. Nancy, of in that, with talking about the stories and talking about the slave trade and talking about, and I mean they were writing a giant spider, which is what Anansi is. It's the spider god. So
Yeah.
I really liked it. I liked the slight peek we got of the fugitive doctor. Um when when the doctor regenerated, I kind of was hoping we'd get her back.
Mm.
Like, because in the 50th anniversary the doctor meets the curator and says, well, you might see some new faces, you might see some old faces, we might resurrect some stuff. So like, this could be a way to get the fugitive doctor back.
Mm.
But I like I like how they regenerated it. That was also really cool. So um but yeah, I really enjoyed the season. I'm really sorry that Shuti is leaving. Um he also said something about Doctor Who being hard on the knees, which, being a nearly 50-year-old woman doing martial arts, I
Mm-hmm.
completely understand. Um so I'm not sure how political that statement was, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, whatever. And so yeah, I really liked how this last two seasons went. I really like how I haven't hated or disliked any of the Doctors, so um that was fun. Getting to see Jodie again was also fun. Uh
That was
so
a
yeah,
great surprise. I love that.
that was a great surprise. Apparently they managed to keep that under wraps for like until the episode dropped, which is fun. It's like they in the age of the internet, in the age of like instant spoilers, they managed to keep that under wraps for that long. Awesome. Good on them. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I think I miss Peter Cushing. Bring him back, CGI. What do you think? He did a movie back in the 60s.
I
Me
remember
too.
I
Too.
that is like
Yeah.
the only movie I have not seen. I've not seen the one with
Yeah.
Peter Cushing.
Yeah. I want to go back and just spend some deep dives of the early any of the episodes that's in the 60s and 70s, just because there was a different era, of course, and wow, and just contrast it to what we see today, and what's the evolution of the storytelling of Doctor Who. I think that's fascinating because it is such a long
Yeah.
running show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Uh,
well, I mean, it's like an institution, so
yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the African episode because you guys both mentioned it. It's called The Story and the Engine. The write-up is basically they arrived in 2019 in Nigeria and Lagos, and yeah, to me it's. I thought, well, first I'm with you, Kiri. I thought it was really well done because did give me the American gods kind of feel to it, right? With Ansari,
mhm.
I must say again, I'm the guy with
Nancy.
Nancy. I'm the guy with the speech kind
Nancy or Mr. Nancy.
yeah, Nancy, or that was it Nancy Brothers, Neil Gaiman and stuff. But of course, Gaiman mined that through folklore and other storytellers, right? And I thought that
Hmm.
was cool. I like character-driven episodes where you're trapped in some place. That's the zombie bit. Like this was almost a ball episode because there's not that many external settings.
No, there
But
really wasn't.
didn't use that many footage of past episodes. It's kind of not about an episode in that sense. I love the idea that storytelling is power, literally in this
Mhm.
episode. I thought that was cool. Uh,
Yeah.
I think the establishment shot of Lagos, with the streets, in a street view, where it's very populated with Nigerians wearing very colorful traditional dresses and garb. I thought that was fantastic, and yeah, I would love to go back and see that from a Doctor Who perspective. It would be great. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah.
And the doctor, making a point say, I've been to Lagos, but never wearing this face,
Yes, yes.
never wearing the face of a black man. That was just like, oh, of course he didn't say that he'd never been there wearing the face of a black woman. So
Yeah.
when when you see that pan of the fugitive doctor, like, oh yeah, technically that's still true.
Yeah. Well, I think with Doctor, especially in the current era, which I define, post 2005, no,
Hmm.
Yep.
it's more conscious of diversity issues, inclusionists,
Hmm.
and things that, like, you know, 60s and 70s weren't a good time for the LGBTQ community, okay? It's only now,
Right,
right, when
right.
it's more accepted, and it's human rights issues and all that. And like or not, I think Doctor Who, it's forefront in its storytelling. They don't back away from
Exactly.
it at all. They just dress it. And that's something which I enjoy and like. And
Hmm.
I'm a straight, old white guy, right? Okay, so I appreciate it because to me it's not, it doesn't feel like an add-on. It feels like it's part of the storytelling.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And now that
Mhm.
we know that Doctor has been both a man and a woman,
Yeah.
and both a white person and a black person,
And
that
and,
gives
and,
it a
and,
lot more weight.
yeah, and Scottish.
And Scottish.
Okay. So,
Has the Doctor ever been Irish?
oh no.
Huh.
Um,
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Hmm.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they
Yeah.
should fix that at some point.
Oh God.
Huh.
Hey, yeah. Okay. What else? What else did we like about the season, or we didn't like about the
I
season?
I thought that Belinda was a great companion.
Yeah.
I love all the companions though. Like, there's very few companions that I dislike. Like, I thought Ruby Sunday was a great companion.
Yeah.
I thought Belinda was a great companion. I was frustrated that they didn't bring back Ruby aside from as like the occasional guest star. Like, I was
Uh,
hoping that we were going to have both of them on the TARDIS at some point, and that never happened. So that was a shame. But
right.
yeah, I
Yeah, that
thought
I
Belinda
kind of
was
assumed
great.
that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
miss having more than just one companion because in the old show you had multiple companions all the time,
mhm.
Yeah.
and Jodie had multiple companions, so that was nice. But yeah, it would have been nice to have both of them at the same time. But I really liked Ruby. I really liked Belinda. Once again, I was frustrated that they got rid of Belinda. They seem to be sticking with this format of each season is going to be a single pairing that can never be repeated the next season, and I don't
Yeah.
like that. I would like to have more time with these characters. I guess it's like a marketing thing so that every season, it can be like it's a brand new show again because we have a new cast member. But I would
Yeah.
like for these people to stick around more.
No, I agree with you that the problem with Doctor Who
Agreed.
is that it's hard to jump in because every season is major changes, right? And they they retro so many things because it's time traveling. It's inherent in stories about time telling, inherent in storytelling about time travel that it's going to get messy. Yeah, and it's got different versions. So how many times do we do regeneration, or how many cycles of regeneration? And the
Mhm.
companions, yeah, I think I like the idea that one of the reasons why Doctor Who has companions is to force him or herself to be more aware of empathy and compassion. And I
Mhm.
like that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, because when he's on his
Yeah,
own, he can tend to go a little nuts. The first thing that I think of
yeah,
is the season three Christmas special, the wedding, the one that introduced Donna with the giant rain cross spider, and
yeah,
he was like completely prepared to like wipe out the entire spider race, and then Donna was the one who had to talk him down because he
yeah,
had been alone up to that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
The War Doctor and all that, and because I can see how, like angry Doctor Who, I really like. Like,
Yeah, when the doctor gets angry, it's like
yeah,
he's not screwing around anymore.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, I also really liked that we got a sequel to Midnight from Ten's run,
Yeah.
even though the episode Midnight freaked me out, and the well, which was
Um,
episode four,
it's
It was up. I have the list up here. It was episode. It was
Three.
episode 3.
Yeah.
This season. The well freaked me out just as much.
I like the well. It was a
So
great episode.
yeah,
So.
but midnight scared the crap out of me, and the well didn't help.
Yeah,
I'm ashamed to say that I did not remember the midnight episode at all. So like I felt like this was referencing something and I had no idea what, but it was a very good creepy episode, but unfortunately I didn't remember the original one.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, it's like I remembered. I'm like, wait, this is familiar. Why is this familiar? And there's that one like flashback to midnight, and then someone on a Discord channel I'm on brought it up, and I'm like, oh, it's that episode. And yes, that episode freaked me out, and this episode freaks me out too. So yes, we are keeping to form here.
So Midnight was an episode in what season? Like how many years back?
It was series 4.
Sorry,
with Tennant and
Donna.
I think it was Donna.
Yeah. You want to talk about a really scary episode? How about the Eurovision takeoff one? Eurovision is quite scary.
Yeah, now I enjoyed that episode, but I don't know anything about Eurovision, so I'm sure half the jokes were lost on me.
Oh, it was so many jokes. It was hilarious. Yeah. By far, to me, it's the funniest episode this season by far. The Interstellar Song Contest was great. Eurovision's been around for 50 years. Like ABBA broke out on Eurovision. Okay, I think it's been around like since the 70s. I want to say mid 70s, and it's just taking the piss out of it, and I love that. That was great.
Yeah,
I know enough about. Go ahead, Derek.
When they made a big deal of that guy showing up out of the cryopod, I was like, "Am I supposed to know who this is?" Because like they're making a very big deal about his entrance.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about that, why is it that if you're a tourist, okay, you have to have an Irish accent? Because the girl with the horns, right, okay, had an Irish accent. It was like, come on, that's so typical, stereotypical.
Oh, I have to point out a major issue I had with that episode.
Yeah.
So every time the episode ends, it says like executive producer, and then it starts showing clips from the next episode.
Yeah.
So I always immediately turn it off because I don't want to get spoiled on the next week's episode. Well, that stupid episode had a post-credit scene that introduced the Ronnie that I had no idea existed. And I heard like all this weird talk on the internet about things. I'm like, what are they talking about? And then it was only like a week later that I learned that there was a scene after the, credits that I had to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, you should
have just had it before the executive producer credit.
Yeah, you should send a letter.
No,
definitely
no,
a letter.
This is what keeps you paying attention, dude.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because I was watching part 1 of the finale and I had no idea that the Ronnie was back. And like I'm watching the episode and like the opening scene is her like in the past, like getting the baby. And like she said her last name was Ronnie. So I say to my friend that I'm watching with is like, oh, that's so funny because there was an old villain called the Ronnie, but I'm sure that's just like a little in joke that they're doing and it doesn't mean anything.
Sure.
And then eventually when they reveal it later, I was like, oh my God, it had been revealed a week before.
Yeah. Sorry, dude. Yeah, no, I know just enough about Eurovision to understand that they were taking the piss out of Eurovision. I don't watch Eurovision. I don't even watch America's Got Talent or American Idol. I don't watch any of that crap. No. So I understood enough to know that they were taking the piss out of Eurovision without having actually watched any of it.
Yeah, it's hard to actually watch Eurovision live. You can't do it in Canada unless you do it illegally, right? Or using a VPN. So I have European friends who are into it, and because I'm on a university campus, of course, there's Europeans here, right? And it drives them nuts that it's not on at the bar or the pub. Yes.
Poor things.
Oh well. What other episodes did we like, or things that stood out for you this season?
Getting back to what Derek was saying about not including Ruby in the second season.
Yeah.
I also thought that Ruby was going to be around more for this season than she was. I really didn't appreciate Lucky Day. which is the episode where she comes back. I did not like the gaslighting
Right.
that her dick of a boyfriend
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
uh
I was
did.
actually completely fooled by that. I thought he was good, and then so I was legitimately
Yeah,
shocked
I
when it
thought
turned out to be like an
I thought
incel right winger.
yeah, I thought I was completely fooled by it too. And considering stuff, going on in current events down here, I was like, no, 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 don't do this. Don't do this. And yeah, that was and having that be most of the entire episode is just like, really? Screw you all.
Yeah.
Screw you all. I don't need to be seeing this right now. And then they and then gaslighting the doctor and Belinda gaslighting Ruby at the end,
Mm.
which I know, like the Belinda and the doctor forgot about their kid, but the way they spoke to Ruby about it, it was just like, come on, doctor, you have more respect for Ruby than this, don't you?
Yeah.
Really? Really, you're gonna treat her like this? Seriously?
Yeesh.
It
I thought that
it
was
just
a
rubbed me the
really
wrong way.
I thought that was a really tragic scene. That actually made me cry because it was like we just went through this whole big deal about the kid, and then Ruby is like saying like, he exists, and then like she just slowly
She,
forgets what she
the yeah,
the baby's a she. Yeah,
Poppy.
isn't that what I said?
You say
Yeah,
yeah,
Poppy.
Just call it the
Who I
baby.
can
maybe. Just
and I
refer to it
The
completely
baby.
forgot I completely forgot she was from the previous season. That was another thing that I didn't remember at all, and I had to read
mm,
afterwards. But yeah, I thought that was a really beautiful scene where I thought it was just that was just going to be like the tragic ending of the story that they had a kid and then they just all forgot about it. But then we got a whole nother 30 minutes out of it. But that was a beautiful scene. But yeah,
yeah.
I thought the Ruby centric episode was better than I thought it would be, and I wasn't expecting the heel turn at all, and I thought he was like a great villain to hate, and I loved how he ended up in the finale as basically like a prisoner in this room with a baby, having to constantly tell stories. That was kind of like a fitting punishment in a way. And I also really loved his line delivery when he was telling the stories like and Doctor Who was all alone. I just thought it was very like hypnotic
Right.
and melodic.
Mm, mm. Well, I thought it was a fitting punishment at the end where he basically ends up as nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic.
For all your YouTubers out there, don't be like this guy. Oh, wait a sec.
Yeah, do not be like this guy.
Technically, we're
I,
YouTubers. Oh God.
yeah.
Okay.
I so wanted to punch that guy in the face. It like, no, you need to be punched in the face a
Yeah. Well,
lot.
conspiracy sell. That's the thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately they do. And unfortunately, again, like I said, very very apropos of, current events,
Yeah.
after
Which,
fashion.
which
So
I think's sorry. I'm getting over a cold, and yeah, I don't have any tissues near me, so it's like, so sorry about that. I like that fact that it's timely. It's a
it's
story
very
with some
very
themes
timely.
to it, and that's good because it's doing social commentary, and I like that. I like to talk to you about that. I think
At
Black Mirror
least
did it well as well. I think the overall did it as well, but Doctor Who is good. Yeah.
at least he didn't have a bad tan.
Yes, that's true.
That
Uh,
episode raises one of the things that always confuses me is like how much does the public know about aliens and unit and everything? Because, like it seems like that answer keeps getting changed and of course like the universe gets reset every once in a while. So like I never understand like what does the average Joe Q public know about the existence of aliens and unit? Like is it a conspiracy theory or have they seen because like there's been massive alien invasions multiple times like are they aware of that if they remember that because if they did like wouldn't people be talking about that constantly would that be like all you would ever care about
no, too busy listening to Eurovision, watching Eurovision. Well,
I see. my explanation for this is going back to previous writer of Doctor Who, Douglas Adams, and um I basically figure it's some kind of SEP field, the somebody else's problem field, which is, a filter that the brain relies on people's natural predisposition to not see anything they don't want to, weren't expecting, or can't explain.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I figure that's how Doctor Who kind of operates, is, it basically relies heavily on the universal SEP field of Earth, and how, there are, billions of people who just either don't want to or just can't handle the idea of aliens and mass events like that.
So you're saying if there
The
is some
brain is
kind of a
just a
global
huh?
So if you're saying if there is some kind of a global crisis that threatened the health of everyone, a large portion of the population would be in complete denial about it and refuse to do anything to help themselves or others?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said,
Interesting.
this is a direct quote from Life, the Universe, and Everything. An SCP is something we can't see or don't see, or our brain doesn't let us see because we think that it's somebody else's problem. That's what SCP means. Somebody else's problem. The brain just edits it out. It's like a blind spot.
Yeah, it's probably has to do with evolution. I don't know, but anyway.
Probably. Who knows? Well, I don't know that it's very evolutionary. I think, you know, it's a, mass delusion.
Yeah. Interesting theory. Interesting theory.
Yeah.
Uh, Doctor Who. Let's talk about the previous doctors and the new doctor. Again, spoiler alert. Let's go address this. So is it Billy Piper? Am I saying her name right?
Yep.
Yes, you
Hey,
are.
hey, maybe it's because it's English, English. Billy Piper. What do we think?
Well, do we know
I
that she's the doctor?
Or she says like, hello. Oh, hello.
But because the credits,
Yes. Oh,
whenever the
right.
doctor is regenerated, they say, and introducing blank
Yeah.
as the doctor.
Was that a
And the
screen?
credits
Yeah.
didn't specifically say she was the doctor.
Yeah.
It said, and introducing Billy Piper. That's it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I personally think that it's just going to be like the Tenant thing where he just came back for an episode or two,
All right.
because there was a quote from Billy Piper in the press where she said, "Oh, I'm so happy to come back to Doctor Who one more time." So like one more time doesn't sound like she's doing a whole season or multiple seasons. So I figure
Oh.
she'll be in one or two specials and then we'll get the actual next Doctor.
Yeah. Who will be an American, right?
Mm,
Ah! No, I want to keep it within the British
no,
Isle as well. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing her do an entire season or two.
Right.
I would think that would be interesting. I think, you know, imagine all the fun, like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them to spend the entire season rehashing, Ten's run, but there are a few things that could get interesting, revisiting a storyline or two where Rose was there, but now Rose is the doctor.
Mm.
That could be interesting. I've also seen a theory that the doctor didn't regenerate into a new version of the doctor, but the doctor regenerated into the moment from 50th anniversary special,
Mm.
and that's what's going on there. Um, I would love to see this new doctor uh meet meet Donna's daughter Rose, who is named after Rose,
Right.
and see what kind of shenanigans that they could get up to. But yeah, that's just me.
Okay. Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, I would have no problem with Billy Piper being the full-time doctor. I just don't think it's going to happen, but
Yeah.
I'd be good with it. Like I said, I love every doctor.
Uh, has there been any gossip about the next Doctor, like in terms of casting calls or in terms of internal leaks or
Not that I
external
paid
leaks?
attention.
Yeah.
Not
No.
that I paid
That
attention.
well, it's funny
No?
because a few days before the finale aired. Oh, I have to mention, by the way, on the finale, the world ends on May 24th. That's my birthday.
Oh,
So the
nice.
entire season we've been building up towards my birthday. So
Yeah.
that was cool.
Oh, so it's your fault.
Um,
This
yeah,
entire season is your fault.
yep.
Mm.
Well,
I do remember a few days before the finale aired, I saw some completely random, bizarre rumor that Billy Piper might come back as the Doctor, and I was like, "What? That's ridiculous. That's stupid." And I promptly put it out of my thoughts.
Uh,
So when she did show up, I was like, "Oh yeah, I do remember reading something about that."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
ah,
I
you
was
silly,
surprised that
silly
he was
boy.
regenerating at all because I never expected him to be gone after only 2 seasons. So that's
Mm.
why I immediately, dismissed that spoiler because I was like, there's no way they're getting rid of him this quickly. He's only done two 8 episode seasons.
All right.
But then they did.
I mean, not. I mean, other than Paul McGann, I mean, uh, Pertwee wasn't really around for that long, and Troughton wasn't around. Well, Troughton was around for longer than he seemed to have been like, but most of his episodes were junked, which is sad.
But the other thing is back then, a season I believe was like 22 half-hour episodes or
Oh, some of them were longer than that.
or more than that.
Like
Yeah.
there's an
Like they did much longer seasons.
there's a 12-hour there's a 12 episode serial involving the Daleks that is junked, which is when they introduced the Brigadier.
Yeah.
So I skipped that one because it's just screenshots and
Yeah.
it's and that saved me from having to listen to the Dalek for 6 hours.
Oh, wow.
I think that's
Yeah.
also the episode where Susan leaves, which reminds me, we got
Yes,
a Susan cameo and they never explained it.
Yeah.
That's a mystery for next season.
Hmm.
I've seen theories that she might be the boss of the hotel.
That would be a yeah,
Of course,
obviously.
my other theory on that is that the boss is the master, and maybe the master just didn't want the Ronnie upstaging him. Uh,
Hmm. Okay, I have a stupid question.
okay.
Please set me straight because, of course, this question is probably been asked 18,000 times. So, if there's only the Doctor Who's a survival, he's the only one who survived the destruction of the Time Lords on what's the name of the Lord planet again?
Gallifrey?
Gallifrey.
Gallifrey, okay. Why are there so many other Time Lords that pop up, like, the Master or Reyna or people like that?
Why do so many Jedi survive after Order 66?
Okay. It's like
Thank you,
literally
Derek.
they should have like its own colony and I don't do a commune or something like that. They and start having babies. I don't know. I know they can't have
But
babies.
they can't have kids apparently.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay.
That reminds me of
Uh,
another thing that I found confusing about this season because we had all the Time Lords killed off in the Time War that
yeah.
happened prior to the 2005 series. And then they brought back the Time Lords, and then the Master killed them all off. So when they talk about the Time Lords getting wiped out, I'm very confused about whether they're referring to the Time War or to the Master killing them
Mm,
because they never kind of like clarify exactly what they're talking about. Because I would assume they're talking about the master killing them because that's the more recent event.
right.
But then I don't know. It's always kind of weird to me because like the master and the Ronnie, they would have died in the Time War, but then they wouldn't have been alive for. Well, I mean, obviously the master is the one who did it, but like the Ronnie was theoretically dead from all the way back in the Time War, so she wouldn't have been resurrected and then killed by the master.
Mm,
So it's confusing when they talk about the Time Lords getting wiped out because there's basically two different extinction events for them.
unless she's been Mrs. Flood and sitting on Earth for like however long,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
she's she's been Mrs. Flood.
Mm. So with this whole not being picked up again by Disney Plus for streaming is for season 3. Is that confirmed or is there like what's the
No,
reasons behind
it's
that?
just a rumor.
right? Like I would think Disney would want that as long as the dollar side, the financial side makes sense. Like
Well, that's the big question.
yeah,
How much money does it make them, and how much are they paying for it? Because Doctor Who is not as popular in America as it is in England. I mean, obviously
yeah,
us nerds love it, but like how much streaming revenue is that actually bringing in for Disney Plus? And remember, Disney is also looking to pinch pennies on the streaming service now. They basically decided to chop the legs off of everything streaming now.
right. Is BBC channel still a thing in the States?
BBC
BBC
America, you mean?
BBC America is a
Yeah.
cable channel.
Okay.
I stopped having cable a long time ago, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that still exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eh, interesting. All right.
But I do know that Doctor Who, while it doesn't get great television ratings anymore, it is a merchandising cash cow for the BBC. They make millions and millions just on the toys and the t-shirts. So it's in their best interest to keep the show going on. Although, if they lose the Disney uh, contributions, they may have to, slash the budget again, which I would be fine with. Like to me, I grew up on a Doctor Who with cardboard sets and rubber
Yeah.
monsters. Like it
Right.
doesn't have to look like a movie. And they're certainly clearly throwing a ton of money at the show now,
Right.
and that's great and all. But I would be fine with things looking cheap and crappy again as long as we're getting more of the show.
Mm.
They Disney didn't take over the didn't start bankrolling Doctor Who until what, 2, 3 years ago?
It was with the Tenant specials that the Disney deal began. So basically,
Okay,
the
so
the original iteration ended with Jodie leaving, and then
mhm.
when Russell took over with the Tenant specials, that's when it became the BBC Disney co-venture.
Okay, because the effects and the effects did not look all that cheap prior to um, David Tennant returning.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
so if we think that Disney throwing money at Doctor Who or not throwing money at Doctor Who anymore is going to lose a budget, like we've seen what they can do without Disney's money.
Yeah.
So
I'm not
I
sure.
don't think that's gonna. I'm not necessarily worried about that.
Me neither. Yep.
I'm not sure, guys. I kind of like the whole CGI bad guy with Omega that lasted 3 minutes on a screen. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
stealing. I'm stealing your thunder, Derek. What don't you like about Omega in the last episode, which is the Reality Wars?
Yeah, okay. So
Or the
RTD
Reality War.
unfortunately pulled the exact same trick in the season one and season two finale.
Right.
He does a two-part finale. He brings back one of my all-time favorite classic villains. I am so freaking excited that this guy is back. And then he's just like a big, massive CGI monster that gets defeated after 3 minutes because we can't afford the CGI. It's like just bring him back as a guy in a suit. That's the way it was in the old show. Omega, guy in a Doctor Doom helmet.
Yeah.
Sutek, guy in like an Egyptian helmet. It's like you don't have to have this big CGI monster, just have him as a guy. And you could have had Omega as like the next big bad of the next season. Like that, I thought that's what we were doing. That basically the season finale was going to be like, oh, the Ronnie returns. But then the ending twist is that, oh, Omega has been unleashed. And we could have an entire season about the threat that Omega poses to the show. That would have been
Mhm.
awesome. But instead, they introduce this awesome, amazing villain and give me a cool cliffhanger, and then they get rid of him after 5 minutes, and then the season finale ends up being like 30 minutes of kind of like character stuff with like the companion and whatnot. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like I was hoping for this big explosive confrontation, and they just get immediately taken back off the board. Also, he did the same thing in Tennant's last episode, The End of Time. They bring back the Time Lords. They bring back what's his name, James Bond as Rassilon, and he's only there for 5 minutes, doesn't do anything, and goes back away. It's like
There
there's
was
this
no
amazing
CGI on that
setup.
one.
Yeah, I know, right? There's this amazing setup for like this big major villain, and then he just gets immediately taken off the board. So I love these finales, but I'm also frustrated that we didn't get more.
Yeah. Okay. Any last thoughts before we shut our doors to the pub on Doctor Who, the latest season, the future of Doctor Who, or anything in time and space?
The massive bone beasts were awesome in the finale. The gigantic skyscraper skeletons walking through. That was really cool.
Cool.
That was really cool. Agreed.
Any more?
And the Ranny was a great villain as short as we had her. And I love the whole bi-generation thing with Mrs. Flood. Although that's another thing that confuses me. So Mrs. Flood bi-generates into the other Ranny, and she just immediately becomes like her servant. It's like, you're also the Ranny. Why aren't you fighting back against this? Why are you just like kowtowing to her like this? It didn't make any that didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But it's funny because kind of the same thing also happened with Tennant and Cootie. Tennant was just kind of like immediate, like, okay, I'm retired now, bye. Like he didn't like really like show much like initiative anymore. So maybe the old regenerated one is just kind of how it somehow inherently passive in nature.
Yeah, but speaking of that, I've tried not to be greedy and say that I want Billy Piper's doctor to run into 15, but at the same time, that would be fun.
Yeah. I love when doctors cross over. That is always the best.
That would be really neat. It's like, oh, she would be 16, right? 14, 15.
Wait.
Yeah,
I think no. Wait, Jody was 13. Tennant was 14. Hootie was 15. Billy is 16.
Okay, so she's 16. So it would be interesting for 16 to run into 15. 16 to run into 14 with Donna and Rose, and that could be all kinds of interesting chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I would so love to see that, but yeah, I'm sounding greedy, and I'm not the one in charge for a reason.
Love it. Okay, let's shut the doors. This show is available on most podcast platforms and on YouTube. Subscribe today. You can contact us by email at management@scifipubcast.space. We love hearing from our customers. And hopefully next recording, I don't have this cold, so I will sound better. And which way, folks, Keri, where can people find you on social media?
If I am on a social media platform, I'm at Keri Blackfire42. That's Keri Blackfire42.
Right, and you are on other podcasts, right?
Yes, I'm doing Cape Chronicles, Enter the Dojo, and DC Talk over in the Random Chatter Network. Although DC Talk may be retiring because it's just me, and I'm too busy at the moment to do four podcasts.
Fair enough. Derek, where can people find you on social media?
The website, derekbeebe.com. I'm on Blue Sky at Derek J. Beebe. I don't use Twitter anymore. I have 6 fantasy books that you can purchase on Amazon.com. It's a completed series. The sci-fi book will be coming out later this year. And speaking of books, I just want to briefly mention there's a ton of Doctor Who novels out there. I've only read like 1 or 2, but there's an endless number of them if you're interested in reading more Doctor Who adventures. They do tend to be more expensive here in the States, so I only ever get them when they're used at a bookstore like this. But there's a lot of books out there if you're interested.
Excellent. Social media regarding myself, it's my first and last name, different variations. I'm easy to find. I'm all over the place. Some platforms I use more than others. I don't post all that much. If I post things, it's going to be mostly, university related or stuff like that, or my travels. Aha. Anyway, it's closing time. Take care. Please make it home safe. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye.
Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Duran. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly, and we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.